What's up? I'm here with a review of a science fiction Italian horror zombie film from 1979. And tonight's movie is Screamers, also known as Island of the Fishmen. So this film is about mysterious aquatic creatures that threaten the existence of some island. Now, the reason that I'm reviewing this film for Remember November is because this film has a bit of an interesting history to it. After being released twice, once in Italy under its original title, and once in America under the title Something Waits in the Dark, and it being unsuccessful in America, it was re-released again for a third time under the new title Screamers, with a scene of a man being turned inside out, filmed specifically for the trailer of the film, just to get people to see it. And it did make a good amount of money, but people complained that there was no scene where a man was turned inside out. And this was actually not included in the original release. This was only done for the advertisements. Like, even on the American posters, it talked about this being a movie about men turned inside out, which is a really awesome idea for a movie in general. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where a man's been turned inside out. So yeah, that's the reason. And it's a mouthful. So our film begins with some waves and a corpse in the water. The title screen, credits, people walking through a cave. And someone walking through a cave. And then there's these four people, three of them go into this cave called the Cave of the Dead, leaving the one guy on the beach. It's not a very good idea. So they find a rotted corpse. They're actually looking for treasure in the cave, and they find like rotted corpses, and you get false scares. And then there's a guy on the beach alone, and he sees something, so he goes to investigate. Wow, something sneaks up on him. So the captain is one of the first to go, and they're both attacked. With the captain, with one of their heads, the guy on the beach, his head gets ripped clean off, which is kind of cheesy, but cool, I guess. Anyway, long story short, throughout the first 12 tedious minutes of this movie, everybody dies, and then we cut to prisoners and 6 prisoners and 1 doctor on a lifeboat, and they're from a prison boat that had sunk, and they were the only survivors. So they arrive on the island, and one of them dies, and they arrive at the island in a boat crash because of the fishmen making their boat crash into a rock for some reason. I guess fishmen can create water currents. I guess I don't. I mean, that kind of makes sense. So after, so after one of the guys die, they go into the woods looking for the other prisoners, and it suddenly turns into an Italian cannibal film by the look of it and music. So anyway, you see this guy, one of the prisoners, climbing on rocks, finding the boat that belonged to the treasure hunters, and the guy is attacked quite cheesily, and we see the body of the woman that was killed. So that's 2 prisoners dead, and we have 4 other prisoners and a doctor. That's almost, and we are in and then one of the prisoners, all the prisoners are finally grouped together, and one of them decides, hey, I'm gonna go look for food, and he finds a swan, and before killing it, he's attacked. So this is 3 of the 7 people dead within the first 9 minutes of us, 9 minutes after initially meeting them. So then these two guys fall into a spike pit. One of them ends up falling and dying. So that's 4 out of the 7 dead. And they save one of the guys that almost fell in. And after they find this trap in this graveyard, they soon realize that there may very well be people on this island. And according to one of the prisoners, there's a legend about this island being inhabited by zombies. Let's see. This woman arrives and suggests that they kind of go back to the beach. Like, get the fuck out of here. The guy that owns this island does not like people much. And then they kind of follow her home. So, Screamers is like a combination of a spaghetti western, an Italian cannibal film, full cheese zombie, The Descent, and Humanoids from the Deep. The acting is pretty cheesy, and the dub's also pretty bad, and so is so is the writing for the film. I mean, it's well lit and shot. There's nothing too good here. I mean, honestly, I'd recommend Humanoids from the Deep over this one. The acting and writing isn't bad enough to the point where it's entertaining and funny and enjoyable, and there's not enough gore to make it worthwhile. So it's not really worth watching. I mean, there's some good effects in there, definitely. And the fishmen are kind of cool looking, but other than that, it's not too good. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like the Corpse Grinders, and 10 being something like Brain Dead, it's 4 out of 5, 4.5, I guess. It's decently violent, as I've said before. It's a good movie in its own way. I'll say that. Like, this movie was definitely better than I expected it to be. I expected this thing to be absolutely dreadful, considering that they had to, give a fake plot point in order to get people to see it. So I expected this to be a lot worse than it actually was, but it's still not particularly my cup of tea. I mean, if you guys want to watch it, go ahead and check it out. I know there's a Blu-ray release available, and it's actually on YouTube. Not really my kind of movie. I'd probably give it like 2 or 2.5 out of 5. It's a movie. Anyway, guys, I'm Biscuit Boo 69 signing off. Peace.